Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Jules, Stevie and Craig with me to answer your questions. First one is for you, Stephen. How clueless is Stevie about Sergio Ramos, saying he's not world class? Real Madrid have been class defensively and not picked up a single red card. As soon as he's out the team, they crumble, Stevie.
Well, straight away, straight off the bat, the fact he got a red card, it's his fault defensively that we're left with Militao. So there you go, there's another one to add to the list. Listen, it's one thing to be... Listen, the guy's a legend at Real Madrid, no question. He's one of those guys that people feed off, no question. But when it comes to playing the game of football, you don't pick up a world record amount of red and yellow cards if you're a world-class footballer. I'm not saying he's not an influence. Absolutely he is. But for what he does on the field of play, actual football-wise, defensively, you don't pick up that amount of cards. If you're that good, I'm sorry.
Did yesterday not epitomise, though, how important he is to Real Madrid? Despite all the red cards and despite the disciplinary issues that you bring up, they maybe wouldn't have won all those Champions League or this year's La Liga if it wasn't for him. So that kind of outweighs it, surely.
There are some players, Dan, who, regardless of their ability, make people around them better and make them feel secure, and that's what he does. I'm talking about him being a world-class football player. I'm not talking about the influence or the goals that he scores.
Isn't that all-encompassing, though? I'm talking
about basic football principles of defending. And if you get a world record red and yellow cards, then clearly your basic principles of defending there's a flaw. And world-class players, the last time I looked, don't have flaws.
I know we'll get into this tomorrow, but what the hell has Sergio Ramos' absence got to do with two glaring errors from Rafael Varane?
Well, this is something that Frank Lampard brought up in the sense that he's saying that he needs someone beside him, like Sergio Ramos, to kind of do all the leadership things, and then he can just look after playing football. Does that make sense?
Well,
I don't know.
All right, there you go. He's a world-class leader. Thank you. Not footballer.
Oh, well, listen, I don't want to get into it because we are going to discuss this at length tomorrow, I believe. But you know, I understand. I understand. It's better if you've got a leader, a legend, a defender, a club, whatever it is beside you. I understand. But Rafael Varane made two glaring errors, not because Sergio Ramos wasn't there. One of them, he got his feet in a pickle. It wasn't a great ball from Courtois, but he wasn't set. And the other one, he went to head it, he didn't know if he was going to control it, and he let it bounce. That was the mistake. It was got nothing to do with Sergio Ramos. Rafael Varane won a World Cup without Sergio Ramos. He had Umtiti as his partner. Umtiti's not the leader at Barcelona. Gerald Piqué is. So it's all a bit of a nonsense. And to be quite frank, these Sergio Ramos tweets are just a huge bore fest now.
Well, it's not. The reason they keep coming up is because Stevie won't change his mind.
Well, not listening to what Stevie's saying. You don't pick up the amount of red and yellow cards if you're a quality defender. That doesn't mean you're not a club legend and have had success. And unless you're thick.
How am I going to change my mind? If his principles of actually his job are flawed, why am I going to turn around one day and go, oh, by the way, I'm completely wrong? Well, I'm not. Why would I?
Because time and time again, he shows how important he is to this team.
But we're not talking about influence. We're talking about a world-class player. He's not a world-class defender. He is not a world-class defender because world-class defenders don't have world record amounts of red and yellow cards. And by the way, I started off by saying he let his team down by getting sent off and he couldn't go and play in Manchester. Again, with another red card. But he's a world-class defender.
Craig.
Forget all the red cards.
Well, the World Cups, the European Championships, the Champions League, La Ligas. I think people take it, Stevie. Don't think people worry about the disciplinary problems.
I'll tell you what, I don't know whether you're just trying to wind people up or whether you actually don't get it. I think you just don't get it. I just don't think you get it.
Craig,
I'll tell you what, Maldini, world-class defender, right?
Yes.
How many red and yellow cards has he got? I I bet he's not getting more than what I've got in the end of my fingers here.
Craig, as a player, would you prefer a central role in a weaker team or a secondary role in a top team? So, for example, Jack Grealish and Declan Rice, captain Villa and West Ham respectively, but they have shown an inclination to move on to bigger clubs with a lesser role.
Yeah, but as long as the lesser role wasn't involving not playing, that's an extreme lesser role. So
carrying the kit.
Yeah, I mean, I think both players are good enough, clearly good enough to move on and will play. I think the question's aimed at not being the big fish in the small pond, rather than being the small fish in the big pond along with some other big boys. So if you go to, say, a Man United or a Man City or a Liverpool, you've all of a sudden you're in there with guys that have been there, seen it and done it, and then you have to prove yourself. So you are sort of, your role has diminished slightly because the expectation on you isn't as great as at your current clubs. I think that's the way that question is pointing, and I would say almost every player wants to go and take the bigger responsibility at the bigger club.
Jules, welcome to Extra Time. Which two French centre-backs should start for France at the Euros? Laporte, Varane, Longley, Umtiti, Upamecano?
It's a good question. I think Deschamps is really lucky to have so many possibilities and partnerships and combinations and talent in that position. There's even younger ones. We said Upamecano, but Konate, who's also at RB Leipzig, is probably even better, I think. And if he could stay injury-free for a bit, I think he could prove it. I would go with Laporte and Varane. I think Varane, despite the mistakes that he made against City, is still an incredible defender. And certainly he feels like one of the leaders in that squad, no problems. And then there's an issue between Deschamps and Laporte that might not be resolved between now and next summer in the European Championship. But I would go with Laporte. And I think Laporte and Varane together would be pretty special for France.
Craig, with all these former players coming into coaching now, can you get Craig on the sidelines for Derby or Celtic? Any desire?
How does it affect my golf?
A lot, I imagine. Your handicap will go up from 1, that is for sure.
The answer's no.
Tell you what, by the way, if Burley drove into Celtic's car park, he would be ambushed big time. So forget Celtic. I think you can go to Derby, Craig.
I'm not sure about that.
Will Thomas Tuchel
no.
getting a sprained ankle, Jules, have an effect on how PSG may play, since he may not be directly on the pitch side?
I don't know if it will have an impact, or I don't know what's going to happen, but it just shows you again that, I mean, you could not make this, I was going to swear, you could not make this up. It's just impossible that after 5 months without playing, where players and staff and Tuchel and Mbappe and Verratti had plenty of time to train on their own, to rest, everything, and we thought they can get ready for the Champions League, and finally this could be the year, and the draw was good for them, and then they get injured, all of them, even Tuchel himself. How does your manager, what other club has a manager who gets injured, who breaks his metatarsal? Who does that? Why is it just my club? It's just, I don't know if it's a curse, it's a jinx, if there's something there, it's a black magic, call it whatever you want, but it's just crazy. And Tuchel, I guess, will have to wear crutches probably and a boot on his foot because he broke the metatarsal. So that might have an impact. I don't know. I just think like the jinx is there, and you just can't.
Poor old PSG.
I'll answer that question. I'll answer that question for you. Jules might think it's a jinx, and maybe that's so. But I'll answer the question. Because Dan, we've had a blackout here.
Yes, we have.
For a few days with no power, so I wasn't aware of it. But Tuchel has done what?
He's broken his metatarsal.
And what has that, in a month of Sundays, got to do with a game of football?
Well, I suppose you can't jump up and down on the touchline and really
Let me tell you what difference that makes to PSG winning or losing. Absolutely diddly squat, right? He can still stand on the touchline, right? He's not just come out of 24 hours of open heart surgery, right? And he's going to all of a sudden come up from death's door and be on the touchline. He's got a sprained foot, for God's sake. It's going to make absolutely no difference whatsoever to this game. What a stupid question.
Final question. What chance are you going to give?
Are there any reasonable questions? Who's filtering these questions?
Your boss
We
chose
must have some
them.
decent questions coming in.
Your boss
Not
chose these
stupid
questions today, I
from
believe,
now on.
Craig. What chance are you giving Lyon against City, Jules?
It's a good question. Realistically, I don't know, maybe 10%. If you look at last season, and obviously very different context. Even Lyon had a different manager, different players, but they found a way of upsetting City, and they took 4 points out of 6 in those 2 group stages games. And again, this is a quarterfinal. This is very different. It's over one leg, and it's on neutral venue. So I get all of that. But I think they will take some sort of optimism, and also they've got nothing to lose. No one thought they could beat Juve over 2 legs. They did. They played with a lot of heart and passion. It was not very spectacular. It was just very good defensively and very well organized. And Juve they're a bad team, so it was quite comfortable in a way. This will be very different, but I think they will go there and think, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's believe. Let's try to defend as well as we can, and then maybe on set pieces or a mistake by one of the City defenders, which can happen, and we've seen it happening before, they can seize their chance, but it's obviously very low if you look at it on paper, and the way City destroyed Real Madrid yesterday, it looks very, very unlikely that Lyon can go through, but hey, yeah, I give them 10%.
That's it.
This is why, Dan, that this competition normally, as you know, with the 2 legs, this is why I said it a while ago. It's been somewhat diminished because it's basically just a knockout now.
Oh, shut up. It's not been diminished. It's fine. People still want to win it. It's still the Champions League. It's still exciting. Oh, it's diminished. Why even bother? Don't even turn up. Let's not even go to Portugal. What's the point?
Well, you're not. Yeah, that wasn't my point. You're just gibbering on absolute stupidity now. My point is, it's a knockout, just one game now. So it has been somewhat diminished in its process. That's unquestionable or unarguable. Because the 2 legs was there for a reason, and I understand why it's only 1 leg now, and I understand why it's been played where it is, because of the situation we're in. It has to be squeezed in, but it's not the same competition.
Of course,
the
it
leagues
is.
that were finished.
Of course, it's the same
leagues
competition.
that were finished were played over 90 minutes, and the league games were finished. The league, let me explain to you. The leagues that were finished were played over 90 minutes. The games were all played. Teams were relegated. Teams were promoted. Championships were given out. Leagues were finished. Cup competitions in the main, domestically, were finished. This is a competition that's been changed. It's been altered in its format to try and get it finished. So in that essence, it has been slightly diminished from its original format. Let's see if it goes back to knockout next year. Or will it go back to 2 legs? What do you think?
Of course it'll go back to 2 legs this year. But
and it'll go back to 2 legs for a reason. Because
course.
that's the best way to out the best teams, to get the best teams over the 2 legs. Because you can make a mistake and then still put it right in the second leg. Because that's the best way to do the competition.
But using the word diminish makes it sound like whoever wins it doesn't really matter this year.
Sorry?
Using the word diminish makes it seem like, well, it doesn't really matter this year. Whoever wins it will have a big asterisk
diminished
next
in
time.
the way
Craig,
that it's going to be
Craig,
processed.
use a different one.
Because it has 1 less game, so it's a knockout competition.
But it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, it does matter because it makes
history
a
won't
difference.
remember it as
If it doesn't
only 1 leg.
matter, why won't they do it next year? If it doesn't matter, why don't you do it next year?
What I'm saying is that people won't look down on the fact.
Well, I'm not saying people. I don't care if people look down or not. I'm saying it has changed. It's changed to try and squeeze it in. The format has changed and the format has been weakened. Right?
How's it going, Jules? You all right there? Aye, good.
Go on, Stevie. What do you want to say?
Yeah, good on you, Stevie.
No, I'm
It's
just saying
good
if Jules.
seeing you.
I was just saying if Jules is all right. I was having a wee chat with Jules while you 2 were at it. That was all.
Jules, if PSG win it, will it be diminished?
Hurry up.
No, totally. It would be the best ever Champions League that's ever happened in the history of football.
There you go. Thank you very much. We'll be looking forward to a diminished Champions League, of course, throughout the week. Thank you very much, gents. Keep your tweets coming in at ESPN FC. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.